So a lot of y'all think penitentiary is a joke, right? You all watch the prison channels and think this is a game. Okay. Some of you youngsters think it's a game, it's a joke, right? Till you run across Big Vince or Fleece Johnson, then we gonna find out how funny things really are. No. You ain't on the yard with your homeboys. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got no guns in here. Ain't no switches, no Dracos. You tough, you a thug, right? You can stay in the rain. No, boy. Chin up, chest out. Mama can't help you. Use that man, use a street dude on the streets, right? So this is penitentiary for you. I don't want to hear none of that. I'm just trying to get home and go home to my family. Now we can do this the easy way or the motherfucking hard way. But whichever way we do it, it's gonna be done. Yo, once again it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kens TV in the house like motherfucking kitchen sinks. You know, oftentimes people, they leave comments and they're laughing and joking, and not everybody. And they're making light of prison. You know, and I'm assuming that these are the individuals that's never been in prison. I can damn near guarantee that these are the individuals that have never stepped foot in a prison cell. Let me explain something to you all. Let me enlighten you. Prison is a dangerous environment. I understand that you have prison, content creators such as myself, such as several other content creators that, in the genre of prison, that they tell these stories, and some even make light of it, but not me. It's so serious to where I never really try to joke about it. Now, before I get into this afternoon's, or this evening rather, video, understand this. Self-proclaimed Mr. 30 minutes or better. Meaning that all of my stories are 30 minutes or better. It's guaranteed. So if you're into your 12 and 15, 20-minute videos, hey, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I'm not knocking anyone. But as far as me, as far as, the people that view me, you all say, Kens, we want 30 minutes or better. So guess what? I must give you 30 minutes or better. So with that being said, there is a message. Oh yeah, there's a message this evening. And I got something for your ass. I got something for all of y'all's asses out there that's watching this video. Pause. Double pause. Triple pause. Infinite pause. Now, in all seriousness though, I was watching Fleece Johnson. I often do Fleece Johnson reaction videos. And I've had people ask me, like, well, why do you speak on Fleece Johnson so much? First of all, Fleece Johnson's from the turf. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. Quick disclaimer. If you're on your way to work, if you're at work, if you're on your way from work, if you're laying down trying to take a nap, or you're trying to go to sleep at night, or you just need some entertainment or relaxation, you just want to hear a good old-fashioned penitentiary true story, then I'm the channel for you. So again, with that being said, we'll continue on. Fleece Johnson, in my opinion, is more qualified to talk about prison than anybody else on this internet that I've seen. Sure, you have your guys that's done time and, they've put in work in the pen and they've done this and they've done that and they never lost a fight in the pen and they've shanked people and they've unalived people and they pushed that blade. But in my opinion, Fleece Johnson, and if you're not familiar, if you're, living under a rock as far as when it comes to prison content, Hustler Spirit 502 featuring Fleece Johnson and Big Lee. Go check them out. Fleece Johnson just came out with a book. I purchased 2 of the books. I've read the book twice. Get it on Amazon. Who is Fleece Johnson? Man, it'll have you in tears, man. It'll have you in tears. And so when I was watching this latest Fleece Johnson video, the latest one that I've seen, and I try to watch all of his videos, he made a statement. Now, this wasn't the title of the video, but he did make a statement. Y'all rock with me. Hold on. Fleece Johnson stated booty is more important than water. However, within the next 10, 20 years, booty will be more important than gas in your car. Now, a lot of us look at that and we hear that and it's like, come on, Fleece. And to be honest, that's how I look at it. Come on, Fleece, man. You see, Fleece said that when he was in prison in the mid-70s, all of the 80s, all of the 90s, part of the 2000s, like I believe up until like 2015, 14, somewhere right around in that range, that from what he's able to witness and tell off the top of his head, that 90% of the inmates are in prison doing the most. Freaking. Getting down with the get down. Zesty. I'm sure you all can, put two and two together. Now, that's a staggering figure, if you will. 90%. So it means out of every 10 dudes you line up, 9 of them are getting down. Out of every 100 dudes that you line up, 90 of them are getting down. I definitely wholeheartedly disagree with that. I've been in prison. I've seen a whole lot of activity as far as putting two and two together. You may not physically see it all the time, but you know what's going on. You just don't actually see them in act. Same thing with a married couple. You see them walking through the bar or the park or wherever they may be holding hands. Well, you don't see them in the actual, intimacy moments, if you will. Rock with me. But you know what's going on. And Fleece said a lot of that comes from just being locked up, not being able to be around women. You have to understand this. In the 70s, in the 80s, and even the 90s. Now, while I wasn't there, but I've talked to several people that, they were there. Prison was a totally different ballgame than what it is now. See, prison right now, it's no walk in the park. Don't get me wrong. And it depends on what sort of prison and what level prison that you're in. You got these federal joints that, Big Sandy. I believe it's in Sandy Hook, Kentucky. Big Sandy federal prison. Somebody was being unalived every single day. There was a stretch of time, Google it. Anything I say, you can Google my information, man. Since you all say, Kens, I don't know about this, man. You may be making this up. I understand. That's the right. You have a right to your opinion. Just Google it. Big Sandy Federal Penitentiary. Somebody was being alive nearly every single day at one stretch of time. Now, that's a federal joint. I never been to the feds, but it was all over the news. But you have state penitentiaries just as well where it really, really goes down. Prison ain't no daycare. It ain't no joke, man. You in prison for a reason. You think it's a game? Walk up in there trying to play then, and you'll quickly find out it's not a game. Now, Fleece did the majority of his time at Eddyville. It's called Eddyville, but it's KSP, Kentucky State Penitentiary, also known as Eddyville. The only maximum security prison in the state of Kentucky, at least at the time. I'm not sure now, because you got Eastern Kentucky, which is aka the Pink Palace. Now, I'm not sure. Like I said, I've been out of the system for a while, but you all that from Kentucky and you've been to these prisons, you all can perhaps better enlighten me. But I still have contact with people that's there, so I'm pretty sure that Eddyville is the only maximum security prison in the state of Kentucky. That's where Death Row's at, home of Death Row. Fleece Johnson, although he did time at other facilities, Eastern, I believe North Point, other facilities, the majority of his time was spent at Eddyville. Now just imagine you there and you're close to the death row walk. You're seeing individuals that they're never going home. Although you have other individuals that's there that's never going home and they just have a life sentence. But these individuals, you know that every day it's like their time is ticking. It's like an hourglass, man. And the time is, now I guess everybody's time is ticking when you really, really think about it. But you all get what I'm trying to say. You're in a cell all day long. 24 hours a day. And when that final day comes and they ask you what your final meal, what you desire for your final meal, oh yeah, that's real. That's reality. So what you see on TV, Law and Order, dun, 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 yeah, that's real. You see what I'm saying? There's certain things that you see on television that's real. Fleece Johnson was right here. He was by it. He seen it. He witnesses. He talked to the people. They tormented the man so much to where they threw him on death row. And he wasn't even on death row, but he's down there and he's in the cell and he's butt naked and you know, throwing his food on the floor, no tray, not giving him any toilet paper, not running, cutting the water on for him. He's not having a shower for days. These are the things that Fleece Johnson actually went through. I've been in contact with Big Lee. Shout out to Big Lee. Shout out to Fleece Johnson, Hustle Spirit 502. We're going to do a sit down when the time is right. I don't know when, but when the time is right, he's already told me we're going to do an interview. And I'm going to interview Fleece Johnson. And so the things that went on during the time that Fleece was locked up, especially his early years, you got to understand. They had cameras, but they weren't the way that the cameras are now. See, now in prison, the last time I left prison, you can get away with some things, and some things definitely do happen and go down, but there's so many cameras. There's not as many blind spots. When Fleece was in prison, it was truly dog eat dog. Now, all the while, I don't agree with what Fleece did. I don't agree with the activity that Fleece partook in, if you will. I do understand that it was a survival of the fittest. You have to really, really get down and be willing to lose your life in a sense for what you believe in. See, this is not a game. Prison is not a game. Jail is not a game. Hell, I've seen more violence probably in the county jail than in prison. That's keeping it all the way 100. Urban Dictionary. It's keeping it all the way, genuine. It's keeping it all the way real. And so Fleece goes on in this interview that I was, telling you all about. And he talks about an individual, which is a booty bandit. Because there's a difference between a cheek buster, as Big Hurt would say. Big Hurt is, he's the first prison content creator that I watched. Fresh Out Prison series. Or Big Hurt 916. He was the first individual. And so I got that from him. Cheek buster. There's a difference between a cheek buster and a booty bandit. And I'm going to bring you all video thoroughly explaining the difference between the two. Now, I'll briefly tell you this. A cheek buster is just somebody, hey, they like dudes. You're in prison, opportunity presents itself or whatever, you're going to do it. But other than that, you're not really forcing the situation. But a booty bandit, he's a bandit. He's coming for you, man. Relentless. He's not going to stop. He's just going to keep coming for you, man. I understand this might get a little graphic. I'm not going to get nearly as graphic as Fleece. I just can't do it. But at the same time, man, this is prison. Well, Kens, why are you talking about booty bandits? Why are you talking about cheek busters? Why are you talking about? Because it's part of prison. What do you want me to? You want me to fake it till I make it? You want me to talk about some things that make prison seem like it's a beautiful place to be? Nah, the kids need to hear this. Y'all got kids, especially kids that's not necessarily on the right path and they're kind of wavering and, man, make them sit their ass down and make them watch this, man. Make them watch Fleece Johnson over at Hustle Spirit 502. It's not a game, man. See, mama can't save you. Mamas, you can't save your baby when he's in penitentiary, man. So why you babying him and making him think that every dog mama got you, no matter what, I'm going to be there for my son. I don't care what. No. Because all you're doing is enabling their behavior if they're acting that way. Rock with me. And so Fleece goes on to tell a story about Big Vince. I never ran across Big Vince in the penitentiary system. By the time I got in prison, he probably wasn't even locked up anymore. And if he was at Eddyville or Eastern, two places I've never been. I'll be the first to tell you, man, I wasn't in prison. I wasn't no head buster in prison. I wasn't in prison doing the most. I wasn't in prison, you know what I'm saying, dudes fearing me and I got guys and I got goons and I'm sending people, hey, man, collect this. Hey, man, push that blade on this person. Hey, man, no, that wasn't me. You know what I was? Just a average everyday dude in the penitentiary, man. Got caught up on some white collar shit and, you know, got sent to the joint. Just what it was. I stood up for myself. I held down, you know, I was down for mine. You wasn't gonna just do nothing to me. And if you did it, I wasn't gonna just do it like, well, actually, let's rewind that because I messed the whole. If you did something to me, I wasn't gonna just take it just like, okay, take that. Nah, I wasn't gonna be that type of party. And if I had to get violent, then, you know, so be it. But the ultimate goal was to go home, man. My ultimate goal was to go home in prison. I wasn't no shot caller. I wasn't no none of that. I was a respectable dude, man. And that's all that I can really say. So you got this individual, Big Vince. Now, Fleece described him as a huge dude. So let's just say, I can't say Big Vince was 5'11" because I don't know if Big Vince was 5'11". You see what I'm saying? So we're going to say Big Vince was 5'11" and a half. Pushing 6 foot. Big dude, stayed in the weight pile. Been locked up 15 years. Lifting weights every single day. I've been on Eddyville's yard, but not doing time. See, back in the 80s, they sent us to a Scared Straight program, and we went to Eddyville, and for whatever reason, they sent us on the day that Louisville Cardinals played the Kentucky Wildcats, men's basketball. And out of all days, they sent us there. And in prison, when you have two rivals like that, Lexington and Louisville, back then they didn't get along. They more so get along now, but back then, in the 80s, oh man, Lexington and Louisville just didn't get along in the pen. And when the basketball game came on, man, it was tense. You couldn't hear man, it was just, it was crazy on the yard. And it got violent. Now, I don't even remember who won the game. Probably the Wildcats, you know, respect to the Cardinals. But somebody got stabbed up in that bitch. And they put the yard on lockdown. We was locked in the room for like an hour. Came back, man, it was blood all on the sidewalk or what have you. And we were there for a few hours, and I actually got to see how the yard looked at Eddyville. And it's like, wow, man, it's a real live penitentiary, man. Just like what I see on television. And so when I think back to that, it's like I have a visual in my mind. So when Fleece is telling these stories, I'm able to visualize exactly what he's saying because I remember what the yard looked like. So you got Big Vince. Like I said, big dude, we're going to say 5'11" and a half. We're going to go with that. Works out all day long. Been locked up 15 years. Real muscular, cut up dude. And he looks very, very, very intimidating. He's a bandit. Fleece said it's been 15 years. He ain't had no action in 15 years. He doesn't, you know, use the, how can I put this? He doesn't masturbate or anything like that. That's just what Fleece said. I'm sorry, but that's what Fleece said. I got to give it to you real, and I got to give it to you raw. Pause. He's looking for his target. He's looking for an individual that he can make his victim. He runs across a dude, and he likes him. He likes him a whole lot. And he decides, you know what, 15 years has been long enough. That's a scary feeling, man. Just imagine, you're in prison. It's already a scary feeling just being in prison. But here you are in prison, you trying to do your time. But at the same time, people are pressing up on you. People are pressuring you, and you're going to find yourself, instead of a 10-year sentence that you're doing, you're going to turn it into a life sentence. Fleece had 12 years, I believe, 10 or 12 years, and turn it into a 40-year sentence. Not a 40-year sentence, because when you have a 40-year sentence, you're not going to do 40 years in most cases. Fleece served 40 years. Just all the violent acts that he was committing in prison, on inmates, on COs, on whoever. So Fleece referred to this individual as Mr. I'm going to say unalive a rat. Let me say it again so you can kind of understand what Fleece referred to him as. Mr. I'll unalive a rat. He was a dude that was well respected on the yard. And his whole disposition, his whole demeanor, he couldn't stand rats, snitches. That's one thing you don't want to be in prison, man. You don't want to be in there for messing with no kids. But you definitely don't want to be in there for being no rat, man. Because once some people discover you a rat, especially now with social media and you can find out exactly what a person's charges are, it's not going to be good for you. So you think you're just going to check in and go to protective custody? They'll come to protective custody and get you. Oh, yeah. I've seen it. They'll transfer, or you think, okay, I'm going to transfer to another prison. Guess what? They shoot kites, letters. Hey, dude's down on the yard, man. Dude's a rat. Word travels. Oftentimes in prison, they got the word before we got it out here on the streets. So please understand that. You youngsters out here doing your thing, understand that. Take your medicine when you get caught up. Notice I didn't say if you get caught up, when you get caught up, because you're always going to get caught up. Take your medicine. It was all good when you was making all this money, running to the mall buying $400 or $500 pair of Jordans, $400 or $500 pair of jeans, $2,000-$3,000 rims, and you riding and you smoking all the good kush, you know what I mean, the good smoke, and you living life. $2,000 sunglasses, all good. But now when you catch your cases, oh no, hold on, man. When the people, wave at dangle that carrot in front of your face and tell you you're gonna get 30 in the feds, oh. Nah, man, I ain't the guy. They don't even want me. They want him. No, they want you. Got arrested. So take your medicine, man. Just oftentimes people are not. So you're gonna find yourself running into the Mr. I'll unalive a rat, Mr. Big Vince. So as I was saying, Mr. I'll unalive a rat, he feels strong about, his opinion, his disposition. Big Vince said, nah, that's who I want. And in the famous words of Fleece Johnson, if I want you, I'm going to have you. And he went after Mr. I'll unalive a rat. Caught him one day coming out of the shower. And that's another thing before I go on, in the showers. Ain't no one-man showers in the penitentiary. Ain't no, I'm next. Nah, man. There's 15, 20 shower heads in there. You waiting all day long to take a shower because you trying to catch the shower when no one's in there, but that's going to be a very difficult thing to do. Man, it's 1,000-something people in the penitentiary. 2,000 just depends. Now, you're in different dorms, so it's not like 2,000 people are sharing one shower. But I'm just saying there's enough people to where it's rare that you're going to get in that shower alone. Because guess what? Your same demeanor, your same thoughts that you're having as far as waiting to get into the shower by yourself, several other people are doing the same exact thing. So when you go up in that shower, man, you're going to see a whole lot of nasty things that's going down in that shower, man. Dudes will openly take pictures from freak books. That's what they call them in the penitentiary, freak books, which is just nasty books, porn books, whatever you want to call them. They're going to put them in a Ziploc bag or something plastic, bring them in the shower, take it out of that bag, hang it up on the wall, and it's going to stick to the wall because of the is the moisture or the steam from the showers, if you will. It's gonna stick on the wall, and they're gonna go to town. They're gonna get their money. That's what they call it in prison, getting their money. They don't care if you in the shower. They don't care if 10 other people's in the shower. These type of things are normal in prison for these type of individuals. Not everybody, but for these type of individuals, youngsters. Are you ready for that? You hard, right? You got the Dracos, you got the switches, you got the Glocks, you got all that on the streets. You hard. You that guy, you a shooter, you a killer. But are you ready for that? See, your homeboys in prison, they not gonna send you everywhere you want to go. You got gangs in prison. You got cliques in prison. You got, crews in prison. And don't be no rat, because ain't nobody gonna ride for you. So you ready for that? Are you ready to go in that prison shower? And you see dudes in the shower, excuse my French, or have you making love in the shower? Utterly disgusting. Are you ready to see that, youngsters? Because you're going to see it if you continue to go the route that you're going. Now, I'm not speaking to all young. I'm talking about the people that want to be tough, that want to be hard. You come from good families, 2-parent homes. Both parents make money. You make good grades. You play sports. You was gifted, but you want to be out here in these streets. Prison or the grave is where you headed to. Now, you can turn your life around. You can get to something different, but you got to get to it. You in the shower. You trying to hurry up and get out. You see dudes, because people say, oh, man, I wouldn't be in there. Man, you trying to hurry. You better hope they don't choose you. So you trying to hurry up, get on out of the shower, whatever. And you look up, man, and you look on the floor, and you just see Dookie on the floor, man. Because dude's over in the corner getting it, and he can't hold it, and it's all on the floor. Yeah, penitentiary. That's what Fleece Johnson talks about. Have I personally seen that? No. Can I imagine that? Yes. I've seen some of that, but I haven't seen the Dookie on the floor. But it happens. I've heard about it. I've talked to COs. I've talked to, former COs, what have you. I've talked to, it happens. Regardless of who I talk to, understand that these are the things that you're going to see. You're going to call mama, please. What mama going to do? She can't talk to the parole board. She can't talk to the judge. The judge done gave you 30 years, and you got to do 85% of that at 30 years before you even remotely have a chance of coming home. So what's 85% of 30 years? Roughly, what are we talking, 24, 25 and a half years? But you was tough out on the streets. You didn't want to listen to nobody. Nobody. When people was trying to tell you about this, man, you laugh and you smoke your weed, your kush. It's all good. Till reality slaps you right in the face. Oh, man, I just give me a knife. I give me 2 of them. Bro, it's not that easy, man. Because in the state of Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, if you get caught with one of them bangers, you're subject to get 7 years added onto your sentence. Now, it may not happen like that every single time. Is it worth the risk? I believe it's worth the risk if somebody's trying to get up in you. But you're not going to just walk around with a bang on you 24/7. You got moments. People got hiding spots. They keep them in their spots because they do random shakedowns. You, come here. Turn around. This ain't TV, man. You take the bang and then pass it off to the next. You done, push that blade like Dante from the Dante Show Network. You see what I'm saying, my dog? Push that blade, and then you pass it off to the next guy, and then he passes it off. This ain't Shawshank Redemption, man. This ain't, this is penitentiary, like, for real. This ain't television, man. Rock with me. So I say all of that to say this. Big Vince wanted to see how about it, how real, how about it that Mr. Al Unalive Rat was. Caught him coming out of that shower. Come here. Now just imagine, man, you got this big old gorilla, man. Penitentiary, lions, tigers, bears, gorillas, then you got sheep. Now, Mr. Al Unalive Rat was far from a sheep, but he just wasn't weighing in. See, the average man, we have testosterone. Like, we think, oh, no, it wouldn't have been me, man. Listen, let me explain to you, man. Let me just explain to you. These dudes been working out for a lot of years. So unless you skilled in martial arts or you good with them things, you can box and you can really, these dudes will snatch you up, grab you up, pull your pants down, and unless somebody comes and helps you, unless you got a one of them things on you and you can get to it, there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it at that particular moment. Now, you can always come back at a later date, but at that particular moment, you had. And that's what happened to Mr. I'll unalive a rat. Fleece explains that Big Vince snatched him up, picked him up. Now, when he picked him up, I guess he already had his action out. Big Vince already had his action out. He was locked, loaded, and ready to go. He picked him up. I guess he's, only thing that saved Mr. I'll unalive a rat, the CO came. Fleece said, the CO said, "Hey, is there a problem? What's going on here?" "Oh, nothing, officer, man. We was just, why you got that gentleman picked up in the air like that?" "Oh, nah, officer, ain't no problem, man. We just, it ain't nothing, man." "Well, why you got your action out?" It just popped out, sir. I just, I'll put it back. It's no problem." And you got this individual that hated rats. "Officer, y'all can call me what you want to call me, man. I'm a rat. This dude was trying to grape me." Big Vince looked at him. "Yeah, he was trying to grape me." They take Big Vince to the hole, lock him up, investigation. Mr. I'll unalive a rat let the whole yard know, "Man, y'all can call me a rat, call me a snitch or whatever, but before I let a man grape me, I'll tell on a man, and I can't stand rats." Fleece said the yard was feeling him. They gave him a pass. Everybody knew what had happened. He was on the verge of getting graped. So typically when you rat in prison, you don't get a pass. But this particular time, the yard gave him a pass. Plus, dude, he was about that action. He'll fight you, stab you, cut you, anything. You know what I'm saying? I wish this cup was sharp. I'd cut a motherfucker right now. Just a little humor, man. Sometimes, man, I go back to different movies that I watched and things of that nature. And so the word on the yard was Big Vince, he was going to take a look. He's going to get at Mr. I'll unalive a rat when he got out. Mr. I'll unalive a rat. I hate saying unalive, but, YouTube has these policies, and that's just the way that it is. We can't speak our piece on YouTube for whatever reason. And if we do, we have to put it in a manner of where it's non-offensive to the viewers. So he was ready for Big Vince. Big Vince came out. Mr. I'll unalive a rat took one of them weight pose, because back then you could have free weights. You had weights. He caught Big Vince when Big Vince was slipping. Busted him up, according to Fleece, busted him up with the pole, stabbed him or whatever, and told him, "Every time I see you, this is what's going to happen." Big Vince checked into the hole. The toughest of dudes, the gorilla, walked stomping through the yard. He come through the yard stomping. I done seen him before. I ain't seen Big Vince, but I seen dudes walking through the yard with no shirt on, just stomping through the yard, man. They put the baby oil on them. They all ripped up. They got the dark black sunglasses on with the shorts, with the just tennis shoes, and just walk through the yard, man. 2, 3, 4 deep. Man, I ain't messing with them dudes, man. Them dudes is crazy. Nah, them dudes breathe just like us too, man. And for what he tried to do to Mr. Owl Killer Unalive, a rat, he deserved that. See, either you're a man or you're a mouse in prison, man. And if you're a mouse, you would definitely get stepped on. You would definitely get stomped. Big Vince wasn't as tough as he portrayed to be. You checking in because the dude stabbed you? You mean to tell me you can't go get one of them Dante them blades that Dante, has? From the Dante Show Network, you mean to tell me you couldn't win and got one of them and protected yourself? You lifting 450, 500 pounds with your legs in the air and the weight pal. Oh, oh. You know what I'm saying? Squatting 500 pounds, deadlifting 500, 600, 700 pounds. You done knock 2, 3 people out. People don't even mess with you because they know how deadly your hands are. But this one individual showed the yard that you're not really, really like that. These are the type of things that Fleece Johnson explained that went on in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s in the penitentiary. The penitentiary is bad now, but it's just so much more protection because you have cameras. They have PREA. PREA is the Prison Grape Elimination Act, which means that anybody's bothering you, anything that you see, anything that you want to report, you get on that phone and you act as though you're making a call to your family. And there's a special number that you dial. It's like a 4 or 5 digit number. I don't even know if it's 4 or 5 digits. Do, 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 do. And you act as though you're talking to somebody and you're really reporting somebody that's being raped, that's gonna grape somebody, or somebody that's guilty. You see what I'm saying, of that sort of activity. And like I said, there are cameras everywhere. You got prison informants to where they're actually getting X amount of dollars per month in commissary. And they're reporting to the administration any and everything that's going on. Same way on the streets. So it's a lot more safe, even though it's not fully safe. It's still dangerous. It's a lot more safe than how it was during the days that Fleece Johnson came through the system. Pause. Double pause. Then again, I don't agree with a lot of the things that Fleece says as far as the activity, as far as the percentages that he brings up. But it's one thing for certain, 2 things for sure, man. Fleece tells you all exactly how it was. He tells you how he survived in a maximum security state penitentiary. And to be outright honest and upfront, Fleece says you got to fight for your booty in prison. I guess that's just how it was back then. Wasn't like that when I was in there. But Fleece says during the roughest times in prison, these are the things that are required, man. So hopefully you all have a better understanding of prison. You youngsters listen to this and understand, man, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. No, you definitely don't want to do that. It's okay to joke in the comments. We go back and forth, and it's cool. But you got to understand, man, this ain't no game. This ain't no joke. If some people desire to make up prison content and they're entertainers, and okay, that's on them. I don't knock anybody. I don't knock anybody for what they do. But my goal and desire is to bring these individuals, these youngsters, these real prison stories, so that when they hear this, it's kind of a scared straight program. Like, no, I definitely don't want to do that. See, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, they should get together, put some money together, and allow Fleece Johnson to kind of go on, I don't know, I guess like a tour or a speaking tour, what have you, and enlighten these youngsters of how prison really, really is, man. Y'all have kids. You want your 20-year-old, 21, 22-year-old running up against dudes like Big Vince? I know some of your youngsters, they lift weights and they into the MMA and the boxing, but just think about the ones that are not. And even them are susceptible. Because you got several people that'll come at you. 3 or 4 dudes at once. That MMA ain't gonna help you. Chuck Norris or somebody like that, you know what you see on television. But if you're not able to do the things that you see those guys do, you're in deep trouble, man. Your little son, 5'6", 5'7", weighs 150, 160 pounds. He continues to get in trouble on the streets. Now he's in the penitentiary with gorillas, lions, tigers, and bears. Think about it. Your son. He's not going to bowl too well, man. Let's keep these kids off the streets, man. Let's keep these kids out of the joint. And definitely let's keep these kids out of the graveyards, man. I implore you to share my video. People need to hear this message. They need to hear it. It ain't about no views. I mean, if I get views, that's a beautiful thing, man. But at the same time, it's beyond the views. This is real life reality. Google Eddyville, KSP, Kentucky State Penitentiary, and go all the way back as far as it'll allow you to go back. And Google Fleece Johnson and his time that he spent in Eddyville. Watch his interview on NBC, I believe that's what it was called. And when he told the reporter, you had to call me some time ago, I would have grabbed your butt and dared you to say something. There's a whole lot of Fleece Johnsons in the penitentiary. He's just the one that stood out, that kind of stuck to the wall, if you will. Predators, man. Goons. Let's keep our kids out of prison, man. Hopefully you liked the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification so anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Free my dog Jay Williams, man. You got a few more months and you be home. Real Kens TV.